I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Dive podcast, provided to you by 214 Media and SB Nation's Hogs Haven. I'm your host, Mual, Coach Mual, Hen Dog Mual, all that good stuff, man. In here with AJ and Dre. Fellas, how y'all doing on this good Monday, man?
I'm good, man. Was just eating a little bit of Jamaican food. And
what you had?
My mouth is burning like hell, bro. Hey, Jay, you on mute.
I say, AJ, you gotta be ready for the spices, man.
Nah, this ain't different, bro. Like whatever they put in this one today is spicy. I mean, I'm African, so I'm used to the spice, but god damn, this one, no sir.
What you had? Jerk chicken or you had curry?
Yeah, jerk chicken with rice and peas and plantain.
That's my thing right there, man. I need to know where you go to get your chicken, because if you talking about this spicy, that's what I need.
Man,
I love jerk chicken, bro.
This thing about to clear up my sinuses.
Man gonna be blowing his nose as soon as he got done eating. Yeah, man. Okay, Dre, how you feeling? Everything good, bro?
I'm good, man. Like I said, it's nothing can break my mood right now in the sale. I mean, first the weekend started off so nice because on Thursday we got the news that we were going to play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Like, that's really my favorite thing when the schedule releases, that they say we play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I love that game. And then the sale on the Friday, I was like, man, this is going to be a great weekend.
It's crazy. So two things. It's crazy because I was the opposite this week. I loved Dallas so much last year that I wanted to go again this year. And I don't know if I can do Thanksgiving. Like, I'm still open to it. Like, I'm teetering. But Thanksgiving is hard because it's like, the circle that I go with, they not willing to lead their family for Thanksgiving, and I understand it, but I also want them to understand. I hope you know, like, it's not the end of the world if you step away for Thanksgiving and go somewhere else. Like, everything's gonna be okay. But yeah, that, and then hell yeah, like Friday, bro, it's crazy. So we all linked up on Friday, man, for some drinks, and we didn't even know the news we were getting before we stepped out there, man. Brad, that was a great way to start the weekend. We had some drinks in the city, man, and it just so happened that Dan releases a statement. Adam Schefter breaks the news, so now we're over there in a even better mood. That, you know, this is the last time that we really have to even think about a Dan Snyder, like, and understanding that his era is almost at an end for most of us, because I know how AJ feels, and it's not like he's not a Snyder guy. It's just he's just indifferent. He's not a guy who's really bothered AJ, and I get it. Like, there's people out there like that. There's people out there who really hates him, and I think the majority is clear. It's clear cut. The majority does hate Snyder. But then, like, the very minority are the people who actually support him. And I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know what he did for them. Unless they're a player, which probably makes more sense. And I can mind my business if you are a player. but I would just suppress that information if I was them. And just let everybody be out there. Like, Robert did a really good job of, I ain't gonna lie, I saw what y'all said online, bro, but Robert did a really good job of acting like he had no history with the boy Dan. when they put him on ESPN to get his reaction. It's actually kind of strange knowing that he was only here for a couple years and they went straight to him. And he told ESPN that he felt like the fans was waiting for this for over a decade. I mean, for at least a decade. And I'm like, no, it didn't start and stop with you, buddy.
Hey, but Mual, if we gonna be honest, man, like probably during Daniel Snyder's tenureship, that was the most prolific moment of his ownership and player.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's
like so, I mean, yeah, there was a bunch of guys that came through here from the Deions to the Bruce Smiths, but like the trade up to even acquire RG3 and then him actually playing like that week one against the Saints.
Amazing.
One of the most amazing moments as a Washington fan and being the age that I am and witnessing. So I felt like it was perfect to speak on that on that platform.
No, to be clear, like it's ESPN is going to go to the former Redskin, like to get his opinion. And to be honest with you, and it's crazy like how we started this, but this is the only positive thing we're going to do before we give our perspective on our full perspective on Snyder. But that was the only time, if you think about it, that they really prepared a quarterback to succeed on this team. And I'm not even talking about the coaches. They brought in Pierre Garçon that same offseason before RG3 got here. Then they made sure to get I think they got Jordan Reed a year later, so that's irrelevant.
They brought in Josh Morgan too, and I think Jordan Reed was already here,
but he wasn't really a receiver.
Jordan came in 2013. Jordan came in 2013.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, Josh Morgan. I like Josh, but he was like a 3 or 4 when he came into Washington.
Yeah, I mean they expected him to have a bigger role.
They drafted Leonard Hankerson that's at 2012. And he had an impact like his first 2 years before he just moved on and fizzled out. And then obviously they got Alfred Morris. They got him a running back. And who was the tight ends? Fred Davis like finally started to look like something.
And Chris Cooley was still here. He was still here at that time.
No, he ain't getting no PT for real. They ain't like him.
Yeah.
They ain't like him. But point, like that was the one time where somebody like you really saw like like that was a peak Snyder moment in the way in which it could have been something. But point being, man, like overall, and that was just a little interesting comment by Robert. But overall, man, the Snyder era is officially in the tail end stages of it. I see everybody in the chat, Hawk, Magic, Monty, appreciate y'all checking in. Everybody that's watching live, if you're watching on Twitter as well, make sure you can stay on Twitter if you want to. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to be a part of the show, try to migrate over to YouTube so we can see the comments as well. We can't see them on Twitter. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. If you are listening on podcast, make sure you hit that follow button. Leave us with a rating and review. We definitely appreciate it. That was good. And if you all want to give your thoughts on, or even just like the magnitude of this, because I'm actually going to say it here, and we're planning on having a guest this week, and I'll repeat it and get his thoughts on it as well. But I want to get your thoughts on just like what this means for just the rejuvenation of the city, the potential that this team has because Snyder is out the door or damn near out the door, and what you all are looking forward to, like the thing y'all are looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I think I'll go first because I don't think I'll be as long-winded with it. But I just feel like it's a new chapter, new opportunity for the fans to kind of have a clean slate. No more kind of talking about Snyder and his past and all the different grievances that happen within the workplace environment. And also the relationships with players, coaches, so on. I think there's a big opportunity for Josh Harris, Mitchell Wells, and Magic Johnson. We've already seen things leak, which I think I said to you guys Friday when we were out. You already know that Magic Johnson is going to be heavily involved in trying to secure a stadium with some of these political people, and he's already met with Wes Moore, the Maryland governor. And having that background, having developments and stuff within the Washington, D.C. community, I think it's it provides hope. It's kind of like it's kind of like when Obama became president of America, provided hope. You felt the optimism of change. And I think that's what it does for the fan base. Unfortunately, a lot of people have had to move down south because of the cost of living here in the DC metropolitan area. But there's still a lot of people that root for this team and want to see them succeed and start winning games and being more competitive and just consistent overall and not being affiliated with, a lot of nonsense off the field and not winning. So, we'll see what Josh Harris and the group does when they officially get voted by the other owners of the NFL, come in and, start to make their imprint, not just with a possible stadium, but also other facilities and most importantly, winning and putting the right people in position to start that process overall and be consistent and no more days of the Vinny Serratos, the Bruce Allens. Right now I'm seeing the rumors of, hey, Jason Wright get moved up to player personnel. Hell nah, for what? Like you pretty much trying to create Vinny Serrato
or like what you like?
Yeah, I've heard actual rumblings about it, like him getting moved up from not even just the business side to like actual like player department job. Like nah, like you want them to do their due diligence and possibly bring in a GM in here. That's it. But other than that, man, excited for the fans that are excited, but still, you have a quarterback battle on your hand, and Ron Rivera is the head coach. So I probably won't truly get excited until there's a new regime as far as like head coach and whoever's running the player personnel side.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's the first time we have legitimate hope. I mean, for a long time, especially throughout Dan Snyder's tenure, we've always had blind hope as fans. And this time, it feels like you have legitimate hope. Like you have a chance at watching adults run your show now. I mean, because for the longest time, we know Snyder. I mean, he's not a leader. I mean, he's never displayed that, and leadership always starts at the top. I mean, you could bring the Joe Gibbs and you could bring the Marty Schottenheimers and you could bring even the Ron Rivera's in, but none of that really matters when the guy above you has no clue how to lead. I mean, you could just see the organization wasn't just a failure from the football field standpoint. It was a failure from pretty much the ground up. I mean, we're talking about the facilities. I mean, the employees throughout the building, the culture in the building. None of that was going to ever be anything great as long as leadership at the very top was never there. And Snyder never displayed that. He never gave us evidence that he was ever going to give us anything but or any sustained success. Because, I mean, like I said, as fans, we had blind hope for so long. I mean, every year was like, oh, well, maybe John Beck can be the one this year. Maybe Rex Grossman could be the one. Oh, maybe Sam Howell's the one this year. It's always something different. There's no sustained quarterback. It's nothing consistent. And it just never felt like we would ever get evidence that anything was going to come up Snyder's tenure. That's why I thought he was going to outlive us. Like, I thought he was going to outlive me. I thought he was going to have the team, for whatever. Because, I mean, he was very young. He was 34 when he bought the team. He's 58 now, 24 years later. He could have owned this team for another 20 or so years. I mean, no problems. But it's just so good to see that he finally is releasing his grip on the franchise and giving us, it feels like he's giving us our team back. Like he had stole our team and was like, this is mine. I'm doing what I want with this team. So now it just finally feels like we're getting our franchise back. And the thing I'm looking forward to most with Josh Harris, just to watch them build something that, modern NFL franchises build around the league. I mean, you want to see them operate like the good franchises in the league. I mean, even the bad franchises aren't usually Washington Commanders bad. I mean, so it would just, it's going to take time. Like, I'm not going to expect them to come out winning or anything next year. I mean, right out the gate, I just want to see them build something that looks solid and looks like it has some sustainability.
We had a meeting earlier today, and part of that conversation within the meeting was like a comment stating that some owners are in it to make money. Some owners are actually in it for championships. At this point, with a 24-year sample size, Dan never really cared about winning. It was what he projected. No, he didn't care. He he brought the names in. He brought the names in to put tickets. I mean, to put seats in, to put people in those seats. Like there was never the reason why you bring. I'm not even. Let me just finish. Cause I'm about to say the reason why you bring these names in isn't because you're trying to build a sustainable team or to do proper team building. You're doing this because obviously they're good players, but like you don't even know what the coaches want. You don't know what anybody want. You just bringing them in regardless. Like that 06 season, and this is where I'm gonna get to. When I mentioned a potential guest this week, I'm gonna get to this point. Like that 06 season was crazy. That 06 all season was crazy. But like he never really truly cared about winning. And I think when you look at Josh Harris, for better or for worse, and you look at the way he attacked I don't remember what years, Dre, you probably know him off the top of your head, but the 3 years in which they did actively tank. Like he had a vision where he said, you know, we're going to take this time, and it's easy to do it in NBA. You can't do this in NFL. But we're going to take the time out to get what needs to be done now, because once we accumulate these picks and we bank on XYZ, we're hoping that we come out of this with a Hall of Fame player, elite player that can get us to a championship. Part of that worked. The other part didn't work. And it hasn't worked yet. I don't think it's ever going to work. I don't think they're going to get to NBA Finals, and I don't think they're going to win it because they made too many mistakes in the meantime. But point being, the thing that I'm looking forward to is seeing that, or at least knowing that Harris is an individual who is set on trying to win. Like this is his goal, and I don't think you don't have to do that with the Commanders. You don't have to do a full blown tank with the Commanders, even if it did seem like plausible with this Washington Commander. You don't have to do that, and like this team is set in the sense of they need leadership from the top, from a management standpoint, from an ownership standpoint, and then from a coaching standpoint. And I think Josh Harris is knowing that he's going to try and get the best people out there to do that. He's done that at least with Doc. Arguably, you can argue that he's not the best in the playoffs, and his track record speaks for itself in terms of when it comes down to trying to close out series, especially before you get to the conference finals. But here's my thing: like competitiveness is what I want from top down. Somebody who is truly vested in trying to win and trying to win championships, right? But then the other thing that I'm concerned about on the flip side is the damage that Dan Snyder has done. And I've been on podcasts, fellas, like the past week or two, and I've said this on each and every time I've gotten on non-Commanders podcast. So they're asking about, you know, the fandom and things like that. Think about, like, I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 in a few months. I've never experienced winning. I've never experienced what sustained winning looks like. And I'm at the point where, like, if you know my background, you all know it. But, like, for those who don't know it, like, I became a writer in, like, 2016. So, like, 7 years I started writing. The main reason why I started writing is because my fandom, that my love for the team started to dwindle. It had nothing to do with the Redskins at the time, but it had everything to do with how this team wasn't serious about winning. And when I say team, I mean the people at the top. Like, you never had the right people in place. And I started to figure that out. So I started to draw away from the fandom side. And then the podcasting started coming in and all these other things. My concern is, like, I'm so excited about Dan Snyder moving on. I'm so excited about the potential of this team and the potential of this city. Like, I love Washington, D.C. I love PG County. And I can't wait to see what this area looks like, knowing that dark cloud is away and away from Washington. But I also don't know, like, as excited as I am, if I'll ever get what Snyder robbed from me. Like, I don't know if I'll get that back. And that's the only thing that scares me with this team, is because I would love to be 10 toes down, like blind fandom, going to a game and knowing that I could root my ass off like I used to back when I was in like 06 or 07, going to the Detroit Lions and Washington Redskins game where Sean Taylor taking dudes' heads off on special teams, and I'm geeked up like I'm on the field, like, or going to the Arizona game where London Fletcher picks off Kurt Warner and he houses the pick and stretches for the end zone, and it's a body, it's a piles of bodies on at the pylon, and London Fletcher is having a good time picking the ball off like we're winning defensive games, and I'm loving it. I don't care what the offense is doing. Dakota, what is she doing? My point being is, like, when I think about how young I was then and how much the team meant to me then, the team means a lot to me now, but in a different way. And I hope that, and we'll see as time moves on, but my hope is that, like, I can gain that back. Like, I want to gain that back. I want that to come back. But I don't know if it's going to happen because of, like, I know why it's not there anymore. It's been years and years of somebody like Dan Snyder, Bruce Allen, and all his minions, all Dan Snyder's minions, fucking his team up. And it's frustrating to think about that I may not get that back. I may not get that fandom back.
Ma, I think you will get it back. If no,
you'll be all right, little baby.
No, I mean,
stop playing me, bro.
But no, Mo, it's there. It's there. But what you have right now is a shield. I think most of us has put that shield up. I mean, it's just a protective shield to protect our feelings, because we've had to do that with this team over the years. You know, some teams get to break their shield after a while because they usually, you know, if they're there enough, they're going to break that cycle. But we just never are there. We don't even put ourselves in position to be there, you know. So right now we all have this shield up. It's like an apathy shield in a sense, you know, because we don't want to get too high. We don't want to get too low with this team, because it's like they're going to suck us back in and they're not going to give us anything, you know, to deliver on a promise. So that's what, if you watch sustained winning, or if you're watching weekly NFL football, as much as you love the game, if you're watching weekly NFL football and your team is in the mix and they are winning games, and not just 1 week or 2 weeks, but let's say 2 to 3 years of a run, we watching that, we know that this team is capable of something. Like even what you talked about with Josh Harris with the 76ers. Like, yeah, sure. The 76ers, they aren't winning the championships. And I know a lot of people measure you by championship or bust in your profession. But I watched the Washington Wizards with Ted Leonsis as an owner. We're talking the same sport here. I can compare Josh Harris to this guy. Ted Leonsis is just, he's an owner. He's different. He's bad, like Dan Snyder, in my opinion, just bad in a different way, because he's more of a, I'll let my ship die before I do anything aggressive to bring it up, you know. And he's more of a, like, and I'm starting to think more and more Ted Leonsis is a guy that really kind of stands over his GMs to say, hey, we're going to do this my way. Whereas I look at Josh Harris and I don't see him as that type of owner that he's standing over top of the GM like, hey, this is my goal, this is my expectation, you better meet this expectation or else. Just the tanking alone probably showed you that the GM probably went to Josh Harris and said, hey, we need players and we need to break this thing down to be good again. And you can only do that if an owner is empowering you to do that, because a lot of owners are not going to sit around for a tank. Ted Leonsis, for example, Ted Leonsis can't stand a tank. He's not going to do what it takes. He's not going to bottom out to make his team better. He wants to stay right in the middle. So I look at a Josh Harris as a guy that's going to empower people. And again, it may not mean immediate success, but if he gets you to the point where you are the 76ers, where you're battling for conference championships on a yearly basis, you know, you're playing tough battles against the conference's best teams, and you're, like I said, you're doing this on a 2 to 3 year stretch, Jamal, that passion is coming back. I guarantee it, brother.
Man, we're gonna see, bro. Look, I want to be the fan that's like a Buffalo Bills fan before they started winning with Josh Allen. Like, I want to be them in the stands where they there in negative 10 degrees. And their team is 3-10, and they still there. And
they got a reason.
Yeah, look, they need.
I thought you were about to say you want to be jumping through tables.
Oh no,
I was about to say, no.
I don't need. I ain't. Look, come on, bro. I ain't.
When you started off, I want to be the Buffalo Bills fan. I was like, all I thought was tables.
I saw your face. No. I don't think I'm ever gonna reach that point. I ain't gonna ever reach that point, man. Magic said, I'm looking forward to the business side of things. Snyder didn't care about the presentation. Terrible locker room, terrible training facility, terrible Sean Taylor statue. Outlaw King says the evil is demolished. Monty said Dan cared about winning. He just didn't know how to run it. Dan is what it looks like when a fan buys a team. Just my opinion. Yeah, it is. It is. Like, my opinion. Like, I think about the point of bringing up that 06 team was like, I remember in the offseason when I didn't follow it day to day. I was young. I played sports in the summer. I remember coming back from basketball practice, and one of my friends' dads was a huge Skins fan. He was like, "You ain't see what what the Skins been doing?" I'm like, "Nah, what they been doing?" He said, "Man, we done signed Antoine Randall. We done signed Adam Archuleta. We done signed some other names at the time that I can't think about right now." But he was telling me all these names that I knew. I was like, "Stop playing. We got all these guys." and none of these guys fit, bro. And we knew, like, if you think about it, none of these dudes fit, bro. But you got some of the biggest names in free agency because they were some of the biggest names in free agency. Like,
I think
they
got
didn't care
OJ
what they
get too.
OJ Atogwe.
Yep.
Bruh. And Adam couldn't play a lick of football. Like, he was protected in St. Louis. I didn't know it. I was young, but I was like, I knew he was good in St. Louis. But he sucked. He sucked, bro. But that's why I brought up 06 initially. But yeah, Monty said Dan cared about winning. Magic. Dan was so bad. Rivera said he wasn't coming if he didn't have full control. Hawk mentioned Will Harris and company go to the analytics route and drafting players moving forward. I don't know. Outlaw and Amani. What's going on, Amani? Appreciate you checking in. Said that they both like Louis Riddick and think that he should get a chance. And he said that Phantom going to be back by training camp. We're going to see. I do want to go to a game. We're going to figure that out. I was really thinking about going to that week 1 game. But we'll see. We'll see what's up. Appreciate everybody who's checking in again. Hit that like, comment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate it. What you about to say, AJ?
I was going to say, I don't think your fandom will come back until they get a definitive answer at quarterback. I feel like once you know who quarterback 1 is and they start being competitive and winning games, that's when they'll come back for you. Because it's like, you got to think the whole entire time you've been a fan. I mean, we're not that far away in age. Like, I'm 36. But there's never been a consistent starting quarterback for 5 years. Yeah. Like, even when Kirk Cousins was doing this thing, it was still like, damn, it's Kirk Cousins. Like, this dude he ain't really it. Like, he putting up his numbers, but he really ain't it. Like, so you knew eventually that this wasn't going to be the long-term answer. But I think if you know, let's say, for example, let me play Miss Cleo a little bit since I just had the Jamaican food, right? Let me play Miss Cleo. If let's say this team fires Ron Rivera, they end up maybe with the 15th pick in the draft, but miraculously over the offseason, they pull off a trade and move up to number 1 pick and draft a Caleb Williams, who's from the area, grew up a Washington Redskins fan. Immediately your fandom will come back because they'll also have a new coach, and you've seen Caleb Williams play enough in college to look at the perspective of him being a top overall quarterback in the league, especially with the weapons at hand. I think that's how your fandom could immediately come back by next year. The same time.
But see, AJ, even just outside of the quarterback, like, we can't even sneak into 11 wins with Dan Snyder. You know, even like just give us one season where it looks like we might have a conference championship to play for or something. The fandom might come back then. I mean, even if you don't have, so say quarterback, but just give us something to embrace or something to look forward to, like something we feel like we're fighting for. And we just didn't seem like we had a fighting chance with Dan Snyder, man.
We didn't. And look, I'm listening to y'all. I'm not disregarding it. I hope y'all are right. I just hope y'all are right. And even still, like I love what I'm doing in this aspect of covering the team and talking about them. So I can't complain too much, but I do want that feeling of excitement. Like I need that joy back, that endless joy back with this team. But we're going to see, bro. We're going to see. But nevertheless, though, before we transition to the schedule, I'm definitely excited. And as AJ said, I'm excited that fans are excited about this because it is a monumentous day. And I'll never forget the day that it happened. And we got to bring in that day with some drinks, man. Turned up. I didn't tell y'all, bro. Bro, I was so lit. I drove past my exit and
On Friday?
and Friday I drove past my exit.
Right.
And
hey, you a
I didn't.
lightweight, by the way.
Nah.
I was talking to this chick on the phone, like, hey, I think my man lit, and I don't know how.
No, see what you don't know, AJ. I had a bottle in my truck before I got there. I was, yeah, boy.
I thought we drank the same amount of drinks that night.
That makes sense. That's what I thought.
No,
it does make sense.
I was like, yeah, he's tripping right now. I don't know.
No, I was on that. I was drinking on that Espolòn straight out the bottle, baby.
But now, look, we got cut more some slack because places like where we went, man, that's the places where they try to get you real effed up in there, man. You know, they feel the liquor, they can put all them little sugary little drinks together for you. So,
I had a Long Island, and then, I had a Long Island, and then I had that second drink that Cuz made. It was some tequila shit. I don't even know what it was, bro. I just said, give me your strongest tequila junk.
Well, you messed up at Long Island. That's where you messed up at.
Yeah, man. So I was just turned up, bro. But yeah. Okay. All right. So schedule. What do we think about it? Like, I didn't. My man. Shout out to Todd, bro. Todd. Sometimes you listen. I know. But if you listen, shout out to you. He asked me what I think about it. I didn't have any like drawbacks on the opponents per se in terms of like when we played who. I didn't care about when we played who in a sense because Washington's schedule was difficult as is. Like it was like on paper, it was never going to be sweet. Like you knew who you were playing. It is what it is. I think there were a couple things that got to me, and it was mainly like the amount of times that Washington was on the road consecutively before going back and seeing a home game. Like if you think about it, if you look at it, I think there's like 3 or 4 occasions where there are back-to-back road games. And I did some numbers. It's an insignificant number, like in terms of, or just an insignificant observation. But I think he has a losing record, or if not like just under 500. Ron Rivera is in his tenure with Washington when they do have back-to-back games on the road. And that's one thing that stood out to me. A late bye week in week 14 is weird, man, in the sense of you're not getting, and we're going to go game by game soon, but we're not getting that split where you got half and half. Is survive until week 14 and hope that half your roster isn't already hurt. But I guess the bye week that late can be looked at as a good thing or a bad thing because you got a 4-game stretch after that where you're on the road against Los Angeles, then on the road against New York, the New York Jets. But that 3-game stretch at the end is definitely going to be pretty tough in terms of like if you're battling for a playoff spot, trying to beat New York on the road and then having to play that San Francisco defense, regardless if they're home or away, you're going to be in for a tough game. So I'll stop there. I do think that, and I'll finish actually do one more thing. With that home game being Arizona week 1, you can't lose. You cannot lose that game at all. Can't afford to lose that game. And it's kind of ironic that if you think about it, we say that every single year with Washington. But I think it's the truth when you're in a situation like Washington where you're not considered an upper echelon team, like you're a middling team. You have to win that game where something seems winnable, or like as an evenly matched team. And with Arizona being that week 1 matchup before you go on the road for a new look Denver with Sean Payton at the helm, you can't afford to lose Denver. You can't afford to lose Arizona because you can mess around and be, if you lose Arizona, you can mess around and be 0-3 or 0-4 to start the season because you got Philly and Buffalo right after Denver.
Well, what I tell y'all the other night when we were out, I said, now if we lose to Arizona, we're going. I'm rooting for 0-17. I'm rooting for 0-17 if we lose to Arizona because, as I said, the league pretty much did you a favor scheduling you Arizona week 1. You know, Kyler Murray's hurt, Colt McCoy starting quarterback. This is the one game in the league that you can sell out with your fans, not opposing teams' fans, invading the stadium, because Arizona fans don't travel. Hell, they don't even go to their own stadium. So the league wants you to sell out. They know you have new ownership. They want to get this fan base jolted. They want you to get the momentum. So they schedule, like I said, the easiest possible sellout. They want this team to come in and start fresh or start fast for the new ownership. So if you lose that game, then it's looking at this schedule is tough, man. I don't like the schedule at all. Like, I'm looking at weeks 2 to 4, and that's just, even though Denver was bad last year, they got Sean Payton now, and Russ could still be a dangerous quarterback at any given time, and it's always hard to win up in Denver. And then you got us playing Philly, and then I think it's the Bills in that same stretch. That's like I said, a damn gauntlet, man. Like, so you have to start off fast and beat Arizona, beat them, and not only beat them. I'll take the win any way I can get it, but I think the Ron and them have to make a statement, and they have to beat Arizona convincingly in week 1.
Yeah, looking at the schedule, man, honestly, there's really only one you would think guaranteed win on the schedule. Everything else.
Damn, that's crazy, because you went from. I was about to bring that up. You went from 5 to 1.
I went to 5. I went to 5, but then I also probably lost track of the fact that let's look at it. For example, Denver, right? They added an actual head coach in Sean Payton versus Nathaniel Hackett. Like, that automatically improves them so much more than anything. And they still had a solid defense. They still got Russell Wilson at quarterback. It's going to look better. They got offensive weapons at running back, returning Javonte Williams, the wide receivers. You get Buffalo. Nobody on here is slouch. Even Chicago. Chicago has improved on paper, and I expect them to look different. Like, they got wide receivers. They added more talent to their offensive line. So, yeah, I'm not looking at that game as a guaranteed victory, because even last year, with all the flaws, Washington barely won that game. Like, it came down to the wire for them to win that game. And really, the only thing you could say that changed majorly so far is Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator. But it's not really that much of a difference at this point. And when they play them, it's early in the season too, week 5, Thursday, coming off of playing at Philadelphia at that. So it's a short week. Atlanta has Jesse Bates now, Calais Campbell, Bijan Robinson. They got Jeff Okudah. They've added a lot of pieces to that team.
They do have huge question marks on quarterback.
They have question marks at quarterback, where Washington still probably have questions there as well. Taylor Heineke might start. Desmond Ridder might be there. Who knows? But when you look at the overall schedule and the teams that they're facing, not even based off like what weeks it is, it's like a lot of these games are toss-ups. It could go either way, 50-50. There's not many you can go into it and saying that the probability of them winning is like 80% or 90% or 75%, except for Arizona. Outside of that, they could get blown out by each and every team on here, honestly. So they got to be ready and can't get off to that late start that Ron Rivera typically goes through since his tenure has been in Washington, where they take a long time to start accumulating these wins.
Let me ask y'all this to what AJ brought up. AJ says 1 guarantee. He can only see 1 guaranteed. I said actually technically said 3.5. And I'll ask you the same thing, Dre. Like, what is?
Hold on, let's say the teams that we think though.
Yeah.
So I said guarantee Arizona. I was gonna ask you to say the 3 teams that you thought of.
Yep, Arizona. I gotta pull it up because I actually don't even remember, and that's actually a scary thing. Because if I don't remember, that means I may be wrong.
It's NFC. It's NFC.
I know I said Arizona, Los Angeles,
NFC West.
The Los Angeles Rams. Oh, here it is. I said 3 and a possible. Los Angeles Rams, Arizona, home versus New York, the Giants, and then the possible was possibly Chicago. And for the reasons you mentioned, AJ, about Chicago, like that ain't no sweet game no more. last year was sweet, and we could barely put up points, put up 12, and one of those touchdowns was because of Trust Way. So, yeah, 3 in the possible: LA, New York, and Arizona, and then possibly Chicago.
I'm gonna go with 2 because I don't like guaranteed wins, especially not with this franchise. Like they, I never see guaranteed wins, because I mean they've been known to lose literally anyone, and then they'll surprise you and beat someone you don't expect them to beat, like they did Philadelphia last year. But I mean, my 2, of course, obviously is Arizona. And then Chicago. Like, I mean, I get it. They are a different team, and that was a tough game, but Carson Wentz was starting last year. That guy, he just couldn't play football anymore. And then they're playing here. Like, I don't know the last time Chicago has beat us in DC or Landover, FedEx Field, whatever. Like, I can't remember the last time it happened. I just can't see it now. I just feel like that's one of them games that they will win. I mean, but again, I got 2, man.
Okay. Magic said, do y'all think Eric Bieniemy's style will impact the offense? What's going on, Steve? Appreciate you checking in, and thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do think it'll impact the offense. I think his style will impact the offense. I think if you kind of like some tidbits of rookie mini camp. Now, again, like when reports come out or comments come out from it, like their impressions on coaches or players, take it with a grain of salt, I guess, right now. But like they did say, like it was noticeably different from how Eric Bieniemy, how his energy was felt in practices versus how like Scott Turner, like you can barely hear Scott Turner say a word during practices, but you can hear Eric Bieniemy preaching and yelling, like not aggressively yelling, but yelling and being vocal to his players throughout the practice, and you can audibly hear what he's saying to his players and things like that, and they pick that up. So in terms of style, I think that type of angle, that style will be rubbed. You can rub off on players in that way, understanding what it takes to be a leader on the field, and it's just a matter of time till you find out who's the cream and who rises to the top in those groups of people. So that's kind of my comments on that. Fellas, do you think Eric Bieniemy's style will impact the offense?
Yeah, I want to answer Magic's question first. Before I answer it seriously, I was talking to one of my good friends today on the phone. I mean, he's a huge Commanders homer, and he started talking about, Eric Bieniemy. He's like, Eric Bieniemy, I'm so excited about him. I'm so excited about Eric Bieniemy that I'm gonna fucking draft Amani Rodgers in the fantasy this year because I think the tight end's gonna excel. I'm like, damn, slow down, player. Amani Rodgers, I don't know if I'm drafting that guy in fantasy yet. I don't know if I'm drafting any of Washington's tight ends in fantasy because they just don't, they got to show me something, kind of like Sam Howell has to show me something in a sense. But to answer the question, I was actually listening to Ron talk about Eric Bieniemy and kind of his impact so far in minicamp. And it was interesting how he talked about how Eric Bieniemy has kind of shifted around a lot of the offensive coaches. And, he was talking about it in the sense that was something that Ron and them hadn't done, while he was here. He was like, he's just learning this. And he was like, he said that Eric got it or picked it up from Andy Reid. And Ron was like, I really trust this, in a sense, because he also, of course, worked with Andy Reid as well in Philadelphia. And he was saying that, one of those things is Eric Bieniemy shifts the coaches, like, around the training camp. He's telling certain position coaches, hey, I need your eyes over here, or I need your eyes over there. And that seems like a very unique thing for Ron because he hadn't been doing it. And you just wonder how that is going to impact, little nuances and little details like that. You wonder if that's going to be something that translate or impact or be something that different than we've seen in the past with the Scott Turner offense. So it's kind of exciting to hear, those little things about Eric Bieniemy because that personality has been missing from this organization, at least during Ron's time here.
Wait, you got it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've already seen Eric Bieniemy as a whole already impact this team. There's hope for the offense. There's feeling that they'll be able to piece it together and be better than what they were last year under Scott Turner. I mean, and he hasn't even called a play for Washington yet, but the hype behind them even being a better team is because of Eric Bieniemy, not just even from the offense, but he's also the assistant head coach for this team. So just his overall leadership and being a presence within that locker room and being a mentor amongst those players on both sides of the ball. I just think, you got someone that's passionate about the game and just knows how to get the best out of his players and his guys. I mean, before he became an OC, he was probably the best running backs coach in the NFL over the last decade or so. So, I mean, you're kind of getting to see that this is authentically him. And sometimes you need that type of energy within your organization. Ron has a different type of style. And, you know, that may work for some people, it may not. Some people might need that extra oomph behind them, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You don't really see those type of guys like that. You see that on the defensive side more so. But, you know, having someone that's relatable, understands the game, also has the rapport to go along with the personality and coaching up in Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hartman, Kareem Hunt, and so on, it just provides even more validation to what you actually are telling them makes sense. You feel me? When Scott Turner tells you something as a quarterback or a wide receiver or running back, you're like, the hell have you done? You feel me? Like, what have you done? Like, to really tell me this? Because you got to think, these guys are coming from big programs, Ohio States, the Alabamas. You know, their OCs or their position coach used to be a head coach in the league. They actually have rapport. You feel me? Whether they failed or not, they actually have some type of status, and they've been there. They kind of know what they need to do. In Scott Turner's case, he don't really have those cards to pull or get in someone's face. Why you think, like, even last year, Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though he didn't play much here because of his injury, but he was like, the offense is kind of weird, you know? Like, and he's been around so many damn franchises. What, Ryan played for 14 teams probably?
Damn near, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, that's going to be a big change in how the offense looks. You've already seen it so far. We haven't even hit minicamp yet or training camp, but I think more people will get acclimated with how he is as a coach overall, and it's definitely going to have an impact. That's the only reason why people are even hopeful that the Sam Howell thing works is because of the fact that Eric Bieniemy was brought in as an offensive coordinator. If this was Sam Howell and Scott Turner partnership, people would be like, what the hell are we doing?
Hawk said, I've been seeing some Kareem Hunt DC videos on my timeline. I wouldn't mind it. ... last year. Fellas, let's go ahead and get into these game by game predictions. Everybody in the chat, y'all can follow along, man. Just because we're going to be doing a little bit rapid pace to keep up, do like week 1, week 2 W, week 3 WL, etc., things like that. So we can make sure that you get your records down. Now, granted, let's go ahead and do the context thing. I don't believe in this shit, but I think it's fun. I'm starting to just say, who cares? Like, I think it's fun, but don't hold me to it. All right, I may change it after the preseason, and I think we're going to do this again after the preseason, just to figure it out. We're not going to go game by game, but we'll do another record prediction, things like that. So let's go ahead and start.
Maybe we should do 1, 2, 3. So like how they do on TNT with Barkley and Shaq. Someone start with week 1, someone next person week 2, week 3, and then so on.
Okay.
Instead of individually, because we could be here all day doing that.
Okay, sure, yeah, that's fine. All right, so I started off. No, we all are going to say week 1 is a W. So
yeah, that's a unanimous.
Week 1 is W.
Yes,
I'll start off with Denver then. So we starting off 1-0. Now we're hitting the road against Denver. I'm going to say that on the road against Denver, against Sean Payton, early on the road at the Mile High. I don't remember the last time Washington beat Denver at Denver. I think that remains the same, especially with Sam Howell on the road. So I'm gonna go L. We're 1-1 going into week 3. Who's next up? Who do we want? I'll go with AJ. AJ, you got the next one. You're home against Buffalo. The Commanders are 1-1. Week 3 against Buffalo. What you got?
Hell no to the no. Hell to the no. That is an L.
Oh my
AJ gonna
goodness.
pick L for everyone. Every time we get to AJ, it's gonna be an L.
Oh my
That's
goodness. We're starting
L.
off. We're starting off 1 and 2. Okay. Here it comes. Here it comes, man. Dre, you got Philadelphia, man. Week 4. We are at Philadelphia. 1:00 game, Sunday, October 1st on Fox. What you got?
I don't have us winning that game because Philly is going to be pissed. We beat them last year in Philly. I can't see us beat them twice in a row in Philly. So 1 and 3.
Okay. Yeah, that was gonna be a little bit scary, man. Because they ain't gonna forget what happened last time. And last time they had 4 turnovers. Like it took 4 turnovers for us to beat them by what? A couple points, like 9 points, whatever it was, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't gonna forget.
And that Heineke sell when he sold that damn roughing the passer.
Yes. Yeah, they ain't fucking around. They ain't fucking around today. Okay. So I'm back at the top. We got Chicago Thursday night. Home against Chicago. I am going to take that possible, and I'm going to say that Washington gets back on track after they got smoked in Philadelphia the week before. Washington is 2 and 3 heading into Atlanta. AJ, who do you got? Atlanta at Atlanta, Sunday, October 15th, 1:00. Where are you at?
I think Bijan Robinson has a big game. I think that marks his imprint of being in the NFL, and I got Atlanta winning, so that's an L for Washington.
Well, don't forget about Drake London. He probably turned up too. Like, he turned up very weak, so
I don't even think about Drake London.
Yeah, I ain't asked you to comment. I ain't asked you to comment. All right, so we are at 2 and 4 for the Washington Commanders. Monty said, "God damn, AJ." All right, so after
Is
6
it 2
weeks,
and 4 or 2? I thought it was 2 and 5.
We're at week 6, so we're 2 and 4.
Okay.
2 and 4. So, fellas, ladies, everybody in the chat, where you at after 6 weeks for the Commanders? What's your record? Right now, the team is 2 and 4 with our structure. Dre got the next game at New York going into week 7. So let's do week 7. Where are y'all at after week 7? At New York, 1:00, Sunday, October 22nd. Dre, do we get a dub?
I'm picking us to get a dub because we actually owe the Giants. I mean, the Giants, we had to tie in the one game, and the other game, we know how that went. That was pretty much the end of our playoff hopes in a sense. But I think we get the Giants. That's that surprise road win. At least the first road win going through our format here. So yeah, I got us beating the Giants on the road.
Okay. Monty says 3 and 3 after 6. Hawk as well, 3 and 3 after 6. Steven says 2 and 4 after 6. So now we are 3 and 4 heading into week 8 after a win on the road against the New York Giants. I'm at the top against Philadelphia, Sunday, October 29, 1:00 game. Fellas, I think L. We get swept. That ain't gonna look too good. So we go from 3 and 4 down to 3 and 5 after the game against Philadelphia. The hardest team in the division is fine. We're done with them. We can focus on everybody else. But yeah, L against Philadelphia. And we hit the road for 2 back-to-back road games against New England and Seattle. But first up, AJ, you got the floor at New England Sunday, November 5th, 1:00 p.m. Who do you have? Does Washington go to 4 and 5, or do they go to 3 and 6?
That's a tough game. It really is dependent on who will be the starting quarterback, because if it's Sam Howell, we
talking about possible? Okay.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, if he's the quarterback, we kind of know. I'll take Sam Howell as a rookie in this case, how Bill Belichick does against those type of quarterbacks, and I just see him struggling. If it's Jacoby Brissett, he succeeds a bit more because he understands Bill Belichick's scheme and different nuances defensively. So let's just rock with the idea of Sam Howell's quarterback. I say L,
L.
and I say by a field goal.
Okay.
or yeah, I would say L by a field goal if it's somehow if it's Jacoby Brissett, they win. But I guess let's just go with L overall.
So after 10 games, Steven says 4-6. Right now, as we head into the Seattle game, we are 3-6. Dre, you got the floor. 4:25 kickoff at Seattle Sunday, November 12th. What you got?
I think the best defense wins in this game. And I'm going with the split. AJ went with the New England game as a L. I think they split one of those two right there. And is this November right here? This game was this. So Ron's
this is in
here.
Seattle too.
Yeah, I mean, but Ron's teams here have went on these like November runs, these little random November runs. So let's just assume maybe the team's getting a little hot and warmed up here. They'll beat Seattle on the road.
Okay. Well, here we go. Because guess who's next up? I called that guaranteed dub home against New York. They have New York next up Sunday, November 19th at 1:00. It's a dub for me. So we go from 3-6 to 5-6. Here it comes. Here comes that little win streak.
So that means we done swept New York then. We done
swept New York. Here comes that win streak, man. Okay, so we got 2 in a row heading into the Turkey game against the Dallas Cowboys. AJ's up Thursday, November 23rd, 4:30 kickoff on Thanksgiving, man. AJ, excuse me, where you at?
I think them boys show off for their family back at home watching the game Thanksgiving Day. I think they get the dub against Dallas in front of the whole world. Well, I guess not the whole world, but in front of America.
Okay.
Because I mean that's prime hours when everybody's eating with their family on Thanksgiving. I think they pull out the dub.
Okay, 3 wins in a row. So we go from 3-6 to 6-6 with a game in 10 days, I believe, if my math is right. Against the Miami Dolphins, Sunday, December 3rd, 1:00 at home. Dre, you are up, man. Do we get over 500 or do we go one game under, man? Where you at?
In typical Washington fashion, this is a letdown game. If AJ had them going out there busting their ass and showing off, they come back home, they let us down with a loss to Miami at home. Tyreek Hill probably goes off in that game.
Go for 200? You going for 200?
I don't know about that. Maybe 175. He might get us 175. Yeah.
Okay. All right, 175 then, man. So we got an L. We are 6-7 going into the bye week, man. Steven says 6-6 after 12 games. Hawk is at an 8-game stretch. The last time he typed 5-3 after 8 games. Everybody, where are you at after 13 games heading to that bye week? Let's catch up on everybody's numbers. We are 6-7 going into the bye week with Los Angeles coming out. I said that's one of my guarantees. Just so happens I got that game. So I'm gonna go ahead and say we come out the bye week with a dub against Los Angeles Rams Sunday, December 17th, 4:05 kickoff. The Rams get that L at home. We are now back at 500, 7-7. AJ, I kind of know where this one's gonna look like, but the following week, man, Christmas Eve at New York, the New York Jets, 1:00 kickoff, Sunday, December 24th, man. AJ, where you at?
Oh man, it's gonna be an amazing game. Get to see some great defense played, but ultimately, in this league, you need a quarterback in order to win these type of games going into the playoff stretch. And Aaron Rodgers is that guy, and there's no way I can pick either Brissett or Howell over Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. So now we are.
So that's an L. Big L's.
Big L. This is crazy. This is right under Ron. This is Ron's mantra right here, like teetering around 500. So what we are 7-8, right? 7-8. Going into the last 2 games. Okay. Now, San Francisco, you got a tough decision here, Dre. Home versus San Francisco, December 31st, Sunday, 1 p.m. kickoff, man. Dre, how does Washington get the dub?
This is the game that they win that they have no business winning. They're going to win this game. No one's going to expect them to win this game. And they're going to finally get you know, they're going to get Kyle Shanahan in them in this game. I think they come out with the dub surprisingly. They're going to surprise. This is their Philadelphia game of 2023.
Okay, so now here we are, 8-8. 8-8, baby. Right where Ron want to be, man. Just enough that he has enough to support his case for making the claim of why he needs to be the head coach in 2024. But on Sunday, January 7th, against the Dallas Cowboys, them boys fall short. And the Commanders take the L at home a year later after Sam Howell made his case for QB1 for the Washington Commanders, or made his quote-unquote case for QB1 for the Washington Commanders. The Commanders fall at home to the Dallas Cowboys, and they finish the season 8-9. All right. So that's going to wrap it up. We have a collective record of 8-9. This was fun. This was actually, I like this structure. Instead of game by game thing, that was much better. So Steven says 7-9 after the first 16. And I guess it don't even matter if we got nine L's. They ain't making the playoffs with 9 L's regardless. So that's going to wrap it up for Steven's side. He says 8-9 in a meaningless game. He said, I think I asked y'all about how many sacks must Chase have to make him keep around to pay him big money. To be honest with you, I like the structure that the Packers did with Jordan Love. If he shows that he's making an impact, to be honest with you, Hulk, like, yeah, man, a 2-year deal or a 1-year extension. But if he explodes and goes for like 13 plus sacks, then you just got to pay him. You need, for big money, you need about 13 plus sacks. Like, that's what big money, like Montez Sweat hasn't even reached that. Like, that's easy. That's easy to just let go of Montez, get your boy Chase. But that's what that looks like. You need about 13 plus sacks in order for Chase to get big money. If we're talking about literal big money for one of those edge rushers.
Maul, I honestly don't think the bar will be even that high for Chase Young here. I mean, but it again probably depends on who's here or who's making the decisions at that point. Because I mean, if it's going the way we think it's going, no one that drafted Chase is going to probably be here making decisions next year. So, but I think double-digit sacks probably. I think double-digit sacks probably gets him paid here. You know, I mean, if let's say new ownership comes in and they want to get, they see Chase, he's rejuvenated, he has double-digit sacks, and they say, hey, now we can make you the face of the franchise with our new guys going forward. You're from the area, blah, blah, blah. You got superstar potential. We're keeping you and we'll pay you. So I think he has to have double-digit sacks, and I don't think anything less than that.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Stephen Mayo, one of our viewers. Like I've stated, I don't think this scheme is set up for guys.
Steven
like
says,
Montez.
just so context, he said, I think it's more than sacks, pressure, stop the run consistently, and then 10 sacks.
Yeah, I don't think this scheme is necessarily set up for Chase and Montez to produce those type of high sack numbers, such as a Nick Bosa or guys in other markets that typically have been at the top. I just think that they don't allow them to play aggressive enough on that front. That's why you've seen in this case, most of the sacks leaders on this team have been the D tackles in Allen and Payne last year, what have you. I think it really just boils over to overall impact. Like, he's an elite run defender, in my opinion. He can make an impact in batting passes down, pressures, like so many things. Like, let's take, for example, Emmanuel Forbes now being in here and being a ball hawk. If he gets a lot of picks, that'd be because of the pressure applied from Chase and Montez. So those pretty much count as sacks if you get in the flip the field. Probably more important than sacks in some cases, because you get in the flip the field and put the ball back in the offensive hands to go and score more points, or Emmanuel Forbes himself is having pick sixes. Because, I mean, do you really care about those sack numbers if he's a Ryan Kerrigan?
But AJ, to your point, if Forbes is the ball hawk that we think or we hope he is, that could also increase the sack numbers, because I always thought one of the reasons why you aren't getting sacks because no one's scared of your coverage. I mean, the quarterbacks are able to get the ball out of their hand to free open guys within split seconds. So if the coverage is much better and guys like Forbes is threatening, maybe the sack numbers go up.
Yeah, that's true for sure. Like, so adding Forbes with Fuller, Ben, and then also Martin that they drafted, if they can provide better coverage, it goes hand in hand. Like the DBs and the DNs or the defensive front, it goes hand in hand. If they can apply pressure, it gives the DBs more opportunities to get their hand on the ball and make plays and flip the field or either or pick six. So yeah, I'm not really concerned about sack totals. I don't really want to put that type of pressure on either one of them. I feel like, hey man, just do your job and apply pressure at the most. Even if you don't get the sack, that pressure and those guys having the opportunity to make plays on the ball, it'll go a longer way than anything.
Be disruptive.
Because you could be fooled with those sack numbers. Like some people think Ryan Kerrigan was elite, but boy.
But he got the numbers and he got the extensions here in Washington. That's what got him here.
Yeah, he got paid, but he wasn't no Von Miller.
Chase, it don't matter. Chase on that. Chase ain't even sniffing Ryan Kerrigan money right now. Like, man, that's the problem.
Chase,
so
you know what's crazy for Chase? If he doesn't even produce high sack numbers here, another team's gonna pay him just off of the fact he's a number 2 and he still has youth on the side, and on the side and athleticism. So
I'm already hip. Like I know was like Washington's in a lose, but at the end, like the only way he stays here in Washington is if he puts up numbers. Like, and that's kind of the crux of this whole thing. I don't disagree with anything y'all saying. Like the pressures, run stopper. He's already a good run defender, but at the end of the day, like you getting paid number 2 overall you get drafted number 2 overall to make those plays on defense.
Maul, that also depends on who's the GM here too. Like, because they could also look at it from a perspective like they ain't really use him the way that I would want to use him with whoever we bring in head coach wise and their defensive scheme. So it's so tricky, and that's why I feel like it sucks for this ownership group that they didn't get this approval before all of these decisions needed to be made. If they could have had approval or something in like February, March, I think Chase would have got the option picked up.
Well, let's go ahead and curtail this and bring this back. Hopefully we get the guests on this week so we can bring up this same conversation. I am very late for the other podcast. So I got to dip hard out. But fellas, y'all be safe. We're going to tap in throughout the week. Matter of fact, we're going to talk tomorrow for the recap of earlier this morning. So we'll tap in tomorrow. But yeah, stay locked in. Appreciate everybody tuned in today live. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe button if you haven't done so already. We'll be back later throughout the week. All 32 will be back later this week. Appreciate y'all checking in. But yeah, we out of here, man. Y'all take it easy.
Yes, sir.
Boom. Whoa. Here we go.